I'm just make a couple comments and I'll ask the other two candidates to come up. There is no chance we're going to win this election in a landslide. So if you think we're going to just shoot right in there, that's not possible. We may win by a few votes, we may lose by a few votes, or we may lose by a landslide because that's how much of an advantage the incumbents have and how little the word has gotten out. So I'm going to ask you to do what you can to get the word out. You've seen this. This is the kind of thing we would do a lot more of if we had the opportunity to be on the school board. So we need people to hang doorknobs if you can do it. Tell your friends. I'll have a video out on this probably tomorrow or the next day. Circulate that around as a showpiece of what we could be doing. And do your best to get the people to show up because we got a long way to go. So we have materials here. I got lawn signs out in the car if you want to take a lawn sign. All that for the next 2 weeks, and in-person voting starts this Saturday. The in-person voting at Colonial Firehouse is going to start, at the end of this week. So we got a limited amount of time. We've got a lot of great things we can do, but it starts with us getting elected. Now, let me say a few words about the candidates that I'm running with. They're two of the greatest people that I've been able to work with, not because we're all the same, because we're different. We're not clones of one another. And each of us has certain skills and certain weaknesses, and when we work together, we cover a lot of the waterfront. So it's a great team to have. Jess has a great background in helping people over the years, taking care of family. She was in the military. She's got all kinds of great experiences, and when she gets a chance to express herself, she says a lot of things that we need to hear. And Kyle's another one that's been doing a lot of things in this community. We just going through a little hassle with the other side, making a big fuss about some postings that took place. They don't know all the things that Kyle did, just for an example, in the soccer program in Hamilton and extending into Trenton and other places too, helping the young kids learn from the older kids and getting clinics together so they can learn the skills of soccer and learn the basics right. And he's been involved in that for years, and he's done many, many other things. So the other side isn't here tonight. We had about 4 of them here last time, and the word is out. We were handing stuff out all day yesterday for this. But they can't be bothered to come and see what's really going on because they've got a thought virus, and they all hang together with it, and it's a little group think sickness that's going on there, and we can't put the same people back in place and get any different results. So do whatever you can to help us. Whatever happens, we've done our point to try to educate the community of Hamilton, and we got a long way to go in Hamilton. It's not the community we had 20 or 30 years ago. There's divisiveness and there's a lot of fear. A lot of fear of being known as on one side or the other, and we got to start working on that. So that's my bit. Let me introduce Jessica Trombino, great person to have to work with and to run with. She has a great heart and she's got great feelings about how things should be done.
Thank you, and thank you, Nikki. As a mom of 7, I have one in the high school right here, and I have a lot of experience I wish I had done when I was raising them, but I have grandchildren now, and with the knowledge that I've learned along the way, I will definitely be giving that to my grandchildren. But I appreciated all the resources that you pointed out to our community because there's so many free online resources that help us to support our kids' education when we're putting them in public school. There's the homeschool community has grown exponentially, especially since COVID. And there's a good reason because there's a lot more resources that we have available, including cooperatives, which are your child is fully engaged in a community, so they are completely being socialized with the community that you choose for them. But if you are needing to keep your kids in public school and want your tax dollars to go towards the best education possible for your kids, what I've learned along the way is take advantage of these resources as early on as possible for your children when they are learning to read. My children actually were fortunate because they learned to read when they were 3 and 4 years old, but that was because I was on top of it. I was on top of supporting them reading very early on, and also times tables, because what I learned when I was a kid was I felt a lot of peer pressure if I didn't know the material, if I didn't understand the assignment. And the assignment, when you go home, if you don't practice what you've learned that day, and then you go back the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, you're not going to fit in with your peers because maybe their parents are backing them up as soon as they come to school, and they're saying, listen, they're going to help them, support them, learn early on the skills of how to study. So that way, by the time they get to high school, they've learned how to study and know the material for the next day and the next day. And so as far as what I mean is, Robbinsville is a good example. We have so many districts that we could use. We got insulted because we're using one of our charts is based off of one state test. But many districts are using that same test result if they're proud of their student achievement, if they're proud of the rankings that they made it in. So it's perfectly okay to use a chart that shows that their schools are performing in the top third, but according to our certain people in our community, it's not okay to share with the community that our kids are performing in the bottom third. Same test results, just different outcomes. Yeah?
You did have a lot of schools take the test, so it's across the board in your school system, like it's in your entire town. It's not like it's one-off.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple schools showed the same failure.
Yeah.
So it's a global problem.
Yeah.
That one score isn't just one school.
Right. Yeah, and one school district that's actually performing really well, and the state, their results were in the top third, were our neighbors, Robbinsville. And I bring them up is because they're a much smaller district, but you can really hone in on what is working for that district. And what's working for that district is something just anyone can do. And that's what we want to do as a slate. When we get on the school board, we want to empower the parents to, when their kids leave the classroom that day, go home and support them and teach them how to use the tools of studying and practicing what they learned that day. That way, when they go to school the next day, they feel like confident in themselves because they had just practiced it all night long. They're going to be up against their peers and be like, I know this answer because my mom and my dad or whoever, they helped me practice this last night, so I'll remember. And by the time they're in high school, they've already learned what their parents taught them, how to keep up with that every day after they get home from school. As parents, we're working hard, we're tired, we get home. A lot of parents these days, and I'm hearing this from teachers, they come home and they just assume that their kids learned what they needed to learn for the day and then go back to the next day and learn something all over again. And that's not how they get proficient in something, and that's obviously what's happening. So what I'm hearing from teachers is we need our parents to be empowered to help or maybe just learn how to support their kids every day that they come home from school. That's what homeschool parents are doing. Homeschool parents are already reinforcing education in their homes. And that's what public school parents don't realize they need to do too. They think that the public school system is already taking care of it, but what's actually happening is they need their parents' reinforcement 100%. And if you are reinforcing your kid after school, they will do so much better for their tests, for everything, because they'll feel confident amongst their peers. And that's what Robbinsville is doing. Robbinsville is, when their kids come home from school, they actually have out of school extracurricular tutoring programs. That's why a majority of those kids in that school are performing in the top third, and that's because they are getting reinforcement at home or in tutoring programs. And so we have to learn by what's working in other school districts and bring that to our school district. And that's what we want to do. We want to empower the parents by getting them involved in open public type of meetings in this type of setting. Bring in teachers, bring in just the community, and show them the resources that they can to help their students be reinforcing what they have learned throughout the day, so that way they're confident and they don't have the anxiety of not knowing the material. Like, I remember I had so many memories while I was running for school board, so many memories of what worked for me. And it was reinforcement at home and practice. And when I did that, I would go to school and I would raise my hand and I was proud and I felt confident. But when I didn't do that, I was like hiding and like embarrassed, and my life just got harder and harder the more I didn't reinforce what I had learned the night and the week before. So what our community needs and what it's lacking is we need more community involvement. We need school board members to work with the teachers, to set up meetings and work with the PTA, work with the PTSA, like together. Let's be a partnership. Let's not just have a board where, they just kind of have an agenda and nobody gets any feedback and nobody's talking about the problems that are happening. They're all just making up all kinds of success stories that don't align with what seems to be reality. And then, on to the next month. Last month's gone. Let's move on to the next month. Kyle, John, and I, we actually care. That's why we're doing this. We all got backgrounds, we all got opinions and everything, and our opponents are using it against us. They're attacking us because we don't do what they do and like dig into their deepest years ago, maybe a post on somewhere and use it against them like as if we're some monster or something. We actually are doing what we're doing because we are very involved in Hamilton. We care, and we want to. I imagine Hamilton being a place where my grandkids can grow up and they want to put their kids in the school system, or I imagine that our schools have children that actually are enjoying being challenged so that they can perform at their personal best, rather than let's just get through the day. I'm depressed. I got anxiety, all these problems. So we want to make our community come together, and we believe that if we can get on the school board, we will definitely make motions. We will try to do our best, and hopefully, if we get another couple of candidates to run the next year or two, we can bring on a couple of more, and we can actually make some real important decisions on our school board and in our school district that are inhibiting our kids from excelling. So I wish I could talk more. This is like something very personal for me. I'm gonna have 7 kids, so like that's a big deal. Now I have 2 grandkids and I have another grandkid on the way, and it's like kids are like my life, and I do think that this AI project thing is like fascinating. It's like, as long as you use it as a tool to help tutor them and not inhibit them with giving them the answers, because that can be a problem. But otherwise, there's so much online that we can support our kids with what they learned at home, and it's free mostly. It's not that expensive if you do go ad free or whatever. And I wish everybody that we invited came, but it's nice to see a couple of people here that are needing to hear this type of thing. And thank you so much. And I'll introduce Kyle. I'm sure he has something to add to it too. And thank you so much again, Nikki, for coming out here.
Good evening. I'm one of the people that's getting all the hate right now, and I laugh at it because it's coming from people who know nothing about me. I am actively involved in our community. I've always been actively involved in our community. I raised 2 daughters. I wish all these resources were available. When I was raising them, I wouldn't have as many gray hairs or as many arguments as I had with my children. I didn't know it, but my mom was sneaky because she always had me doing that summer work, and I just thought it was normal. I'm bored, Ma. Here, read a book. And that's what I did. I sat down and read a book. It wasn't school books, but you learn English, you learn how to think. And one of the things I believe strongly is our schools are teaching our kids what to think instead of how to think. And critical thinking is a very important skill that I think they're lacking right now. And yes, we have some great kids in Hamilton, very smart, very bright, and they're going to go wherever they want to go in life. But that's the top tier. We need to focus on the kids in the middle and on the bottom. And we have to get back to talking to our students about things like, other than college, there are a lot of ways you can make money in this world without a college degree. And I know, Nikki has a boatload of degrees, and God bless you, but you can make a lot of money as a plumber, an electrician. Those jobs can't be replaced, can't be shipped offshore, and you'll never be out of work. We need to concentrate, I think, more on teaching kids that those jobs are good. There are kids out there who are better with a wrench than they are with a calculator. Okay, you can make a lot of money with a wrench in your hand. We've all gotten our cars fixed or had work done on our homes, so you know what I'm talking about. And if you have a friend who's in the business, that's a blessing to have because you can save a lot of money. But what we have to do is, one thing I've learned in this campaign is our teachers are muted. No one listens to what our teachers have to say. Yesterday I had the pleasure of speaking to a teacher, I won't say what school, for about a half hour. And I was asking her questions. And the shocked expression on her face, because no one had ever asked her these questions. And I'm like, but you're the one that's dealing with this 180 days a year. You're the one that wakes up to this every morning and leaves work every afternoon. Nobody cares, yeah. All decisions are coming from up on high, and nobody's asking the people that are dealing with it every day. And I think that is wrong. And I think all this stuff is great, and Nikki knows better than that, than I ever could, possibly. I wish this stuff existed when I was in school. But we've got to listen to our teachers and see what problems they're having. And then get people like Nikki to come in and talk. Because she has the solutions to those problems. Well, not all of them probably, but a whole lot of them. And as we saw, a lot of those solutions for we the parents are free. We all play games on our computer or whatever, and you get an ad that pops up or whatever, and you sit there for 30 seconds. Okay, I'll go for, I won't pay for it. I'll watch the ad and go to sleep for 10 minutes, whatever. But teachers aren't aware of these resources. And again, our teachers are the backbone of our school districts, not the people that sit in the old building on Park Avenue or the new Taj Mahal they're building up the street. The building that we don't know what it's costing us to rent every month, but it's a 50-year lease. Last I checked, we're writing a check for that rent every month. But they don't know, they've never told anyone what that rent is. I just think we need to get our teachers more involved with our parents. And when you talk to teachers that I've talked to about getting parents involved, they're all for it. They want parent involved. Because they feel if the parents are active, the students are going to be better students. But right now there's the Great Wall. And we got to tear that wall down. And if elected, we can't make a lot of changes right off the bat, but we're going to ask a lot of questions, and we're in a public forum, and we're going to get some embarrassing answers. And I think that will help a lot. And at the very least we can do is stir up the pot and let them know there are people out here watching them right now. And right now there's no one watching them. So and if we do well this time, we get a couple candidates the next election, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be at school. We're common sense, someone in business, someone who knows what it takes to make things work. An auto mechanic would be a good addition to a school board as far as I'm concerned, or that plumber or electrician. Except they're too busy making money working overtime on emergency calls that they don't have time for that. But that's all I want to say other than, Nikki, I apologize, I should have started. Thank you very much. I have learned more from you in 2 hours than I ever knew in my life. And I wish this stuff was around when my kids were. So thank you very much for coming out, folks. And column F in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and Kyle just made the most important point of the night. We're in column F. It's the last column on the back page. Tell all your friends, if you want better schools, vote column F. Okay? Now, if you want to get the copy of the slides, just put your name on this list before you leave, and I'll make sure that it gets emailed to you as long as I have your email address.